The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink. The last rays of daylight filtered through the thick canopy, casting long shadows across the tangled undergrowth. The jungle seemed to glow, alive with color and mystery, as the day slowly faded into night. Kwame knew he was lost. His heart pounded in his chest as he realized he had wandered far from the path. Every tree looked the same, and the familiar sounds of the village were nowhere to be heard. He tried to remember which way he had come, but everything around him felt unfamiliar and strange. He had been following a trail of monkeys, their playful chatter and wild calls echoing through the trees. For a while, it had felt like an adventure, chasing after the lively creatures as they leapt from branch to branch. But now, the monkeys had disappeared, leaving only the memory of their laughter behind. Now, they were gone. The jungle was still, and an eerie silence settled over the forest. Not even the rustle of leaves or the chirp of insects could be heard. It was as if the entire jungle was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. Kwame looked around, searching for any sign of a path or a familiar landmark. Tall trees towered over him, their thick leaves blocking the last of the sunlight and plunging the forest floor into deep shadow. The world above seemed impossibly far away. The air was thick and heavy, filled with the scent of damp earth and growing things. Sweat clung to his skin, but still he felt a shiver run down his spine. The jungle felt both alive and empty, as if it was watching him, waiting to see what he would do next. He called out, his voice trembling, "Help! Can anyone hear me?" The words echoed for a moment, then faded into the thick silence. The jungle swallowed his cries, offering no answer. Only silence surrounded him. Kwame realized with a sinking feeling that he was truly alone. The silence was unsettling. It pressed in from all sides, thick and heavy, as if the very air had become dense with anticipation. The usual chorus of the jungle, the constant hum of life, had vanished, leaving only an eerie stillness that seemed to swallow every sound. Gone were the chattering monkeys and the chirping insects. The absence of their familiar calls made the forest feel strangely hollow, as if something vital had been stripped away. Even the birds, usually so quick to announce their presence, were nowhere to be heard. Even the leaves seemed to stop rustling in the wind. The branches hung motionless, as if the entire jungle was frozen in time, waiting for something to happen. It was as if the jungle itself was holding its breath. Kwame strained his ears, searching for any sign of movement, any hint of life. The silence was so complete it felt unnatural, almost threatening. He thought he heard a low rumble in the distance, but he couldn't be sure. The sound was faint, almost lost in the oppressive quiet, like a warning whispered on the wind. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing in his ears. He could feel his breath quicken, his senses sharpening as fear crept in. Every shadow seemed to move. The shifting light played tricks on his eyes, making the undergrowth appear alive with hidden threats. Then he heard it again. A deep, guttural sound, unmistakable and primal, cutting through the silence like a knife. It was closer this time. Kwame's blood ran cold. He knew that sound, and the fear it brought was immediate and real. He stood frozen, every muscle tense, as he tried to decide whether to run or stay hidden. It was the sound of an elephant. Not just any elephant, but a wild one, moving through the dense foliage with a purpose. In that moment, Kwame realized the jungle's silence was not just fear, it was respect for the giant that now claimed the night. A huge bull elephant emerged from the trees. Its tusks were long and sharp, its trunk swaying like a snake. It was bigger than any elephant Kwame had ever seen. The elephant saw Kwame and let out a deafening trumpet. The sound echoed through the jungle, shaking the ground beneath Kwame's feet. Fear surged through him. Kwame didn't wait. He turned and ran as fast as he could. The elephant trumpeted again and charged. The ground shook with each heavy step. Kwame darted through the tangled undergrowth, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he weaved between thick trunks and hanging vines. Every step was a desperate attempt to outrun the danger that thundered behind him. His heart hammered so loudly in his chest, it seemed to echo through the entire jungle, drowning out every other sound. The massive elephant was right on his heels, its enormous feet pounding the earth, shaking the ground with every stride. The air was filled with the sound of snapping branches and crashing leaves as the animal barreled after him, relentless and unstoppable. Kwame could hear the beast's heavy, labored breathing, its nostrils flaring as it drew closer. The hot, humid air was thick with the scent of earth and sweat, and the tension was almost unbearable. Suddenly, through the dense foliage, he spotted a deep ravine ahead. Without hesitating, he gathered every ounce of strength and leapt across, his body soaring over the chasm in a single, desperate motion. He landed hard on the other side, tumbling down a steep, muddy slope. Branches scratched at his arms as he slid, finally coming to a stop behind a massive fallen log. He pressed himself against the rough bark, trying to steady his breathing and remain hidden. The elephant skidded to a halt at the edge of the ravine, its huge form looming above. It peered down, searching for any sign of its quarry, its eyes wild with frustration. With a furious trumpet, the elephant announced its anger to the jungle. But the gap was too wide, and it could do nothing but pace and roar, unable to reach Kwame on the other side. Kwame collapsed onto the damp jungle floor, his entire body trembling with exhaustion and relief. His chest heaved as he gulped in the thick, fragrant air, the adrenaline slowly ebbing from his veins. For the first time in what felt like hours, he realized he was safe. Gradually, the jungle began to come alive again. The distant call of a bird echoed through the trees, and the gentle hum of insects filled the air. The chaos faded, replaced by the peaceful symphony of the rainforest. Kwame closed his eyes, letting the sounds of the jungle wash over him. He lay still, grateful for the shelter of the forest and the gift of another day. For now, he was truly safe at last.